Welcome to my world of fantasy. This is Vin. I am back for a short episode for my DFS week one review. Wanted to check this out, see how it goes. I am in a DFS league this year with 13 members, 12 members, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm excited to sweat DFS this year in this type of setting. It's a weekly league that you win. The top three win money every week, but there's also a season long component to it that the team with the most points as a total for the season wins. The top three win money as well. So excited to kind of go over this. I might do kind of like a review each week. Again, this is a lot of this is due to me trying to process it, see how the others play. So the interesting part of this, the cool part of this is it's the same 13 of us every single week. We're in the same league. And every week we submit lineups for DFS. And so it's the same guys submitting lineups every week. So one of the parts of this show, this review for me, is going to be looking at how are they playing? What are they where are they spending up on? Is it quarterback? Is it wide receiver? Are they spending too much for defense? Are they just punting at defense? So a lot of that will help me determine how I'm going to play during the year, knowing how they play in the first couple weeks. So this is really important to me, but I also wanted to stream, see how it goes, and have some fun with it. All right, so here we are for week one DFS. This is our league. You can see on the left-hand side, the 13 members here, what we scored, who won, and what place I came in. So I came in at third place, so I won a little bit of money there, 119 points. We had our number one winner for week one with 135 points, and our lowest score in the league at 86 points. So I'm not going to worry too much about those lower scores today for this review, but I do want to kind of go over mine and the two members that beat me. I think that's important to look at, and maybe a couple of the teams that are just below me. Let's start first, and then also at the end, I'm going to also review my side action heads up battle with Jesse. That's also a weekly competition this year. We're going to do all 18 weeks. Every week, we're gonna face off head to head, and then at the end, the net difference of wins will be paid out $10 per win for net difference. So we'll go over Jesse's too. He had a lower score than even 86. So we'll look at that, see how he's playing, and see how we're going to take advantage of that situation and side action for the rest of the year. All right, so week one, DFS, this is my lineup. Okay, so we had Jaden Daniels, had 20 points. He was playing the New York Giants. I thought that was a pretty straightforward selection for quarterback there. Obviously, looking back at, Daniel Jones, that was pretty cheap option as well. But we went with Jaden Daniels at $7,000. Devon Achane and Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor was just a good situation playing against the Miami defense. Very, very struggle defense. The defense struggles against run in Miami, so that was something I looked at. Devon Achane was just a good play for me. I just been very high on him. He did not do well. The only reason he had 16.5 points was because of a touchdown late, but that was not a pretty game. Also, there's some correlation there playing against each other, but again, this is kind of small field competition. It's almost like a cash game, so there's not a lot of correlation that's included to get first, but maybe that's something we take into consideration next time to get a little different in order to win instead of finishing in third. Jerry Jeudy did not have the greatest game. Tep McMillan, I played him. I thought he was a good play at 5,200. Did not have the greatest game, but again, 11 points, both players, not bad. Abuka, really good play for me. I just was just a no-brainer at 4,600. These salaries were set in like late July, and they just stay there for week one. So it's definitely a looser week one. It's a looser field and salary. So for your cost compared to opportunity was just way too low for Emeka Buka, and I had to go with him. and he ended up getting 23 points. David Njoku, unfortunately, ice cold, no good there with 6 points. James Conner was my flex, so I went with 3 running backs. I won't do that every time. There will be times that I will go 3 wide receivers and then go with a 4th wide receiver in the flex. But for this competition for week 1, I went with James Conner in the flex. He actually had a decent game, not bad at all. And then unfortunately, Steelers was a great play in my opinion. They were playing against the Jets. I thought they were going to do okay, the Jets, with Justin Fields, but did not expect them to come out and score 32 points. Steelers only got 1 sack, and they ended up scoring 2 points for the whole week. So that's my lineup, and that's what we're going to compare it to when we look at these other lineups. I don't mind it at all. I don't think there's any major mistakes. 119 points and 19 and a half. That's not bad, especially for a cash game. I don't believe that's going to be something that will be sustainable every week. Some of these weeks are going to need a higher, 120, 130 points. But for this week, that was actually pretty decent. Did win my heads up battle with Jesse, which we'll go over this after this. But this one I came in third, and I only beat the number 4th guy by just about 2 points, and the number 5 guy by 5 points. So not a very comfortable third place. And I got smashed by over 16 points from number 1 and over 7 points from number 2. So that's kind of what I want to look at as their teams and how that looks. All right. So number 1 with 135 points went with Bo Nix. Okay. So that's not someone I was considering. At 6,300, it kind of makes sense. He did have 2 interceptions and a fumble and still scored about 10 points. Not somebody I would have went with. Let me see. How much was Jaden Daniels? Jaden Daniels, 7,000. So yeah, I mean, he's saving about $700 with going with Bo Nix, but again, not something I considered. Bijan Robinson, obviously he dominated, 27 points. Kamara had 13 points. JSN, he played as well. So Bijan Robinson and JSN on the same team, both players that I did not play. And they both went over 23 points each. Emeka Buka I had, Tet McMillan I had, Njoku I had, and then Chase Brown he played too. Only 13 points for Chase Brown. So pretty good matchup, or I'm sorry, pretty good team there that he put together. Texans are super low. I don't think I considered Texans. I did consider Titans. I don't know. I don't know what they ended up scoring. I wonder if I can find out how much they scored here. I don't know if anybody went with them, but I did consider them, and being results oriented, it probably wouldn't have been bad. I would have saved money, got up to a different skill player, and Steelers again only had 2 points, so couldn't have done much worse than that. Number 2 in this league was Baker Mayfield, 22 points. Actually, pretty good play at 6,600. Jonathan Taylor I had, James Conner I had, Mike Evans, he scored 10 points. Drake London had 13 points. At 6,500, I think it's a pretty good play. Not someone I was considering. Emeka Buka, Njoku, I had both them. And Ricky Pearsall, good for him. Good pick here. Gatekeeper 33 went with Ricky Pearsall, 4,500. And that's a pretty interesting play in my opinion. And then the Cardinals at 3,500. So I probably spent too much at defense for 2 points. Now, again, I thought they were going to have a better game than that. 3,300 is not a lot, but I could have probably spent down at defense. All right, going below me, they played Baker Mayfield, Devon Achane. He had a decent game, not anything good, or above average. But again, his points came from just at the end of that game. Eckler, I don't love that play. Probably not a play that I would make. Devontae Adams, Matthew Golden, 2 plays that are pretty risky for a small field tournament or a league like this. This is going to be similar to cash. Abuka, Njoku, Taylor, and Broncos had 14 points. So he spent up a little bit because Broncos, I think, were the most expensive defense on the slate. So 3,800 for Broncos. But it pays off. He scored 14 points because of that. And then we'll do 2 more. We'll do this next one. C. Gallus, Trevor Lawrence. Do not like that play. I did consider it, but I did go away from it because I didn't love it. Yeah, I don't love that play. But it wasn't terrible, I guess. Josh Jacobs, didn't consider him. Chase Brown, he did play. Nico Collins, that's interesting. I think he's expensive for what the Texans bring on offense. You know, they're not super high powered this year on offense. So it's expensive click. And he only scored 5.5 points. Another JSN. So he played JSN there. Really good play. I mean, I think he had over, what was it, 50, 60% of targets. It was crazy, 51% of targets or something. In week one, he scores 23 points. Neighbors, way too expensive for me. That's something that I would never play that right there with $7,000 for Neighbors, especially with Russell Wilson behind center. Brenton Strange, not a bad play, actually. 3,300. How much did I spend on my tight end? 47 for 6. And this guy spent 33 for 9. So that was actually pretty good value there for Brenton Strange. That was a good play to pay down a little bit. He played Steelers as well and Ibuka as well. So the cool thing too is, like, if I look at a team here or a player here that I want to go against and say, all right, how did I do with our heads up against each other minus the players that we share? So it's like, other than the players that we already have the same of, you know, what was that looking like? Bo Nix versus Jaden Daniels, Devon Achane versus Bijan Robinson. So it kind of gives you an idea there again, for player against player. This is a pretty good team here. I think I like him spending down for Texans a lot. They had 3 stacks, so that was a smart play there. Got 6 points out of it. 6 maybe not be a ton, but he spent almost $700 less than I did, where he was able to spend up on a JSN or a Chase Brown for those positions. So pretty interesting thing there too. Gatekeeper, the other team that beat me, we had a 5v5, and he had Baker Mayfield that had more points than me. He spent down on Mike Evans in order to spend up for Drake London. Kind of even there. What I score in those two for Devon Achane and Judy was about 27, 28, and he scored about 23. So I had a little bit of an edge there. But Ricky Pearsall, that was smart. 4,500, $700 less. So really that was where he saved the money and spent it with Ricky Pearsall. And he scored 17 points. So pretty good smart play there. So back to the contest. I mean, we can look at a couple of these other players. Actually, let's go back to the head-to-head and look at some of these other players. This guy scored nothing. He was under me. We got to hide shared players. Okay. Let's see if anybody is playing similar to me. Malik Washington, don't love that play. Puka Nacua, he was expensive, 7,600, but he came through with 26 points. But the rest of his team did not do well. Ford is just not the right play at that slate. I think, especially in that game environment, don't love that play. And Amon-Ra didn't show up, as well as Matthew Golden. Let's see what else we got here. CJ Stroud, I wouldn't have played there. Kyron Williams as well. Okay. Let's see. Baker Mayfield, DK Metcalf. So it's interesting to see the players they're playing. When you see these head-to-head and we remove the shared players and they're all different, that tells me that they're probably not as familiar with the cash lineup for the week. Because that cash lineup is going to be what I'm going to shoot for. Now, looking at it, though, I may switch up a couple of those players to give myself an advantage and leverage so that I can win instead of finishing third. But it just gives you an idea of where these guys are at. All right. And last but not least, I do want to look over our head-to-head with Jesse. Did we share any players? No. Yeah, we did not share any players, which is why he had 70 points. And I had 119. So he plays CJ Stroud. Don't love that play. Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker. Just I don't know. It's not someone I considered. Nico Collins, Tyler Lockett. So that's a really tough situation where he gets 0 points. Not sure what he's thinking about with playing Tyler Lockett. Marvin Harrison Jr., Tucker Kraft, Jamar Chase. So he spent up at Chase. And unfortunately, he did not come through. He only had 4.6 points. And then Giants, of course, was a low owned and the least expensive defense, but only scored 3 points, which is actually more than I even scored in my defensive slot. So interesting play there. Jesse goes with an interesting lineup there, and we'll see if we can continue this streak to continue to win against Jesse. We're 1-0, but it's interesting to look at this. Probably the first time I'm even looking at his lineup, to be honest with you. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll go back to this contest. Oh, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to look at. I don't mind my plays here. Let's see if I would play anybody different. What was JSN? Because that seemed like a good play. Now being results oriented, of course. 5,800. I spent down at wide receiver. I didn't even spend 5,800 at wide receiver. Yeah. Interesting. Good to see, though. I mean, maybe I spend down at defense, save myself $1,000, and then get up to JSN over Judy, something like that, and play it that way. Okay, okay, I like that. Couple good players here. I know there's some experience here. Not a lot, not all of them, but there are some experience. Let's see. Yeah, I wouldn't have played Ricky Pierce. It just wasn't in my cards. JSN I like here. Bijan Robinson's 8,000. So where did he spend down at defense? Okay. I mean, that's a pretty good team. And he spent down at well, not that much. I mean, Bo Nix was still 6,300. Pretty good team. So he deserved to win there. I like that. I'll definitely keep my eye on Quinton Cook and Gatekeeper, two of them that beat me, looking to play again this week and see how we do. So very interesting. And I like to look at those, head-to-head matchups, hide the share players and see, all right, what did I mess up? What did they do wrong? What did I do right? And I think some of those shared players are because those are kind of obvious plays with David Njoku, James Conner. Did he have James Conner? No, he didn't. And Jonathan Taylor was on a bunch of the teams that we looked at, as well as Emeka Ibuka. Jaden Daniels was not on a lot of the teams we looked at, which is interesting because he was kind of the cash play this week. But now knowing that tells me that, if he went off, now he had 20 points, which is pretty good. But if he went off, that would have separated me quite a bit. All right. That was fun. I want to review these once a week, kind of take a look at, how are the other members of this league playing? How am I playing? Am I comfortable with how I'm playing? And do I need to change anything because of how I'm recognizing the others playing? Maybe one thing is I'm going to get different in one spot next week and try to hit on one spot that may be a little bit different and pay down on defense. I don't think I'm going to pay as much as 3,300 on defense next week. I just don't like where it leaves me with the rest of the players. I always spend down on tight end. I usually can spend down at quarterback, and then I fill up the skill players with the cash plays, the best plays, but also make sure that I get a little different compared to what I did this week, and then we'll be back to review that lineup for next week as well. All right, I'm going to head out of here. That's my DFS lineup for my world of fantasy for week 1. Played well. We came in third place behind these two guys. We just checked that out. So now we kind of have that in mind, and we'll set our lineup on Sunday morning to figure out if we can finish top 3 again. We're at 1 for 1 in cashing because I did make money on finishing third. But we want to win, and we want to continue to cash every single week. So I will keep you guys updated on that as well. So enjoy Thursday Night Football, and I'll be back next week to review week 2 DFS review.